Well, welcome back to another episode of The Miles Driven. This time, by popular demand, we're doing hybrids. These are non-plug-in hybrids. We're going to look at depreciation in the UK and the USA. And we've already covered plug-in hybrids and EVs and SUVs and loads of other different vehicles. And a lot of you said, look, I actually really like the idea of a hybrid. I like the idea of being able to save some fuel, creep around town on a battery, but I can't plug in at home, or the charging network around me is not that great, or whatever it may be. I thought, actually, that's probably a really undeserved market because, like, the hybrids are actually great vehicles to drive, but manufacturers, they didn't really take them up. Now we have mild hybrids, and I have excluded mild hybrids from this list, okay? Because mild hybrids, they're boosting fuel economy slightly. But what we're really looking for is those cars that can do a mile, 2 miles, maybe even 3 on their battery before the engine's got to kick in and help you get down the road. The other two small caveats I've got to put in. One, I'm going to mention warranty throughout this. The UK and the USA at the time period we're looking is very, very similar. Okay, so I'm not going to mention differences. It's one manufacturer that's different, and that is Toyota, because of some regulations that were coming in on the US for, I think it was CARB came in with the new regulation on warranties. And because of that, there's some slight differences. As a general rule, if I mention a Toyota and you're in the USA, it's a 10-year warranty, okay, as a general rule. It may be less. You'll have to check it out in your state. If you're in the UK, though, it will be whatever I mention as we go through the video. The second caveat is, I really tried to keep this list diverse. I've tried to include a wide range of manufacturers, but ultimately, there is one manufacturer that dominates the sort of self-charging hybrid, and it is Toyota. So there are quite a few Toyotas and Lexus on this list, but I did have a look around. Ultimately, I was looking to find the best depreciation for you, okay? But, I don't want a list of just here's all the Toyotas. So I've sort of added in a few curveballs. The one I'm going to mention off the bat, it's not going to make the main list, but like I did in the plug-in hybrid video, I had a look around at the market, and I thought, actually, there's one, it's too new to make it into the list, but it was quite a good deal. And that is the Dacia Jogger. You don't get this in the USA. You get it in the UK, though. They have a hybrid 140 model, 2023, 2024, 25% off, 7 seats. I've driven one of these. And the funny thing is, I understand why people would want the Duster, the sort of the SUV. But the great thing with the Jogger is it's kind of one of those indescript vehicles. It kind of ticks a lot of boxes for a lot of people. And they brought it out with the hybrid first, okay? So if you want a Duster, you're looking at a 2025 car. Same for their Bigster, which is the other one. Won't matter if you're in the USA, you don't get Dacia at all. But if you're in the UK, seriously, worth looking at these. The warranty on these, standard 3-year, but an 8-year on their battery. So bonus there. Now let's go straight into the list with number 1. It's a popular vehicle in both markets, the US and the UK. It's the Kia Sportage Hybrid. You may see this advertised as a HEV, a hybrid electric vehicle. This is a self-charging hybrid, just a regular. You don't need to plug it in at home. It's going to drive around on electricity as much as it can. 30% depreciation in the UK for a 2022 model. Only 25%. It's actually 24% in the USA. So they're holding their money a bit better in the USA, and I think that's because they are more popular in the USA, particularly around this year, this 2022 year. The production was still being ramped up from all the lockdowns that we'd had, and so, if I looked a bit newer, it was even less depreciation, and if you go older, they haven't got the hybrid. Okay, so a 7-year warranty in the UK, 8-year warranty in the USA, so just sort of slight difference between the two of their standard warranty, but the battery is 8 years. Okay, so the extra year of battery warranty in the UK, in the USA, in the USA, it's a 5-year. Sorry, I'm reading my data wrong there. So it's a 5-year in the USA, a 7-year in the UK, but an 8-year battery warranty, and it is extendable for that US warranty. That's the basic warranty. You can push it up to 8 years if you want to. Second on the list, it's another South Korean manufacturer, Hyundai, with the Tucson. And again, HEV. Okay, so if you're looking around, you're trying to discern, hang on, what's the plug-in model? I don't want that one. I'm going to plug at home. It's the HEV you're looking for, H-E-V. Okay, 2021 models, 29% in the UK, 26% in the USA. So pretty much the same as the Sportage model, but because it's slightly older, you can get them in the UK, I'd say up to about a third off, so that 33% marker. But settled on 29% because if you haven't watched these videos before, I try and sort of take out the extremes, because there's going to be people that have done, 100,000 miles in 3 years. They've, used it as a commuter or whatever else. So I try and get rid of the outliers and just concentrate on sort of the average mileage of vehicles on the year we're looking at. And because of that, sometimes the numbers, you have to do a lot of sort of like cleansing of data to get the number that we're looking for. But you can, if you're willing to go slightly higher mileage, get a third off in the UK. Almost the same goes in the USA. I managed to find about 30% off if I was willing to push the mileage a little bit. 5-year warranty in the UK on this one and a 5-year warranty in the USA. Both of you get the 8-year hybrid battery warranty. So pretty much same, but you can extend. Okay, critical on these. And the interesting thing for warranty, general warranty on these cars, in the UK, unlimited mileage warranty. In the USA, as a basic, it's 60,000 miles. Okay, so there's an interesting difference there if you are looking at buying one with a few more miles on there to try and, maximize value for yourself. If you're in the UK and you get it under that 5-year, you should still get it with a bit of warranty remaining, no matter what mileage it's done. Whereas in the US, 60,000 is your cap before you've gone out of warranty, even if it's sort of a 4-year-old car. Number 3 on the list, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with this car. I'll tell you, so it's the Toyota RAV4. I know a lot of you love a RAV4. Okay, let's do the numbers first. 2019 model year, 45% off in the UK. So really good deal in the UK. Only 31% off in the USA though. So they are taking a heavier hit in the UK than in the USA. Again, I think that's because the cars I have just mentioned, those 3, they are, it used to be, say, Ford and Chevy that were the sort of big car manufacturers that sold to absolutely anyone and everyone. And over the last 2-3 decades, the South Koreans and the Japanese have really pushed into that middle of the market, family sector that Ford and GM have sort of lost some of their market share. And these are the exact cars that have come in and taken that market share in the US. They're very popular over there. And because of that, people want them, even after sort of 5-6 years old. Toyota has, I would say, almost a bizarre relationship over in the US. Whenever I do a vehicle, any prestige vehicle on the channel as a buyer's guide, particularly anything Land Rover, there will, I would say, 10% of the comments are Toyota owners. I don't know why they come and click on Land Rovers and prestige vehicles just to say, you should have bought a Toyota. I've never felt the need to do that myself. But if you're interested in these, the one caveat I have against them, the RAV4 drives great, but it's always been a slightly awkward vehicle in the Toyota lineup because they have small SUVs, they have large SUVs. The RAV4 sits plumb in the middle. And if you're looking to maximize space, it is the one, particularly if you're a taller driver, that does feel a little bit cramped. But also, I had a family member buy one of these, had it for 3 years, and had nothing but problems. And it really sort of goes against the sort of run that you get of people saying Toyotas never ever break down. It was actually electrical issues, funny enough. And I'm going to say it was a one-off because, well, no, I'm not actually. No, that was a one-off scenario. But one of the things, when you really dig deep into some RAV4s, you find people reporting a lot of issues, okay? It's odd for Toyota. Don't know why the RAV4 sort of sticks out. I don't know if possibly it reflects people buying them brand new, maybe thinking they're invincible, and then not giving them the love they need. But anyway, whatever the case may be, RAV4, 45% off in the UK, 31% in the USA. Just a 3-year warranty back then. Same both US and UK. You can extend the warranty, and in both markets, you're going to get a 5-year, 100,000 mile hybrid warranty. Okay. Around this time, Toyota introduced in the UK the idea that you could extend a warranty as long as you serviced at the dealer for up to 10 years. It's just around this time, but I think you need to go into 2020. And I looked at 2019 to try and maximize value for you. So there's a sort of cornerstone point there. But I'm not talking down on the RAV4. I want to put that caveat in there because a lot of people speak highly of them. And I think it's well deserved, but they're not invincible. And I've seen a lot of people very disappointed thinking, oh, well, just service it once a year, it'll run forever. And then start to have issues and sort of come after the journalists that said they're invincible. So I'm not going to be that person. I'm going to tell you, give it a thorough check over and really start to drill down and ask questions of a previous owner. Have they had any issues? Maybe it's just 1 or 2, 1 out of 10, 1 out of 100, whatever else. Maybe it's certain batches. I haven't done any buyer's guides on the RAV4 to say 100%. Now, next car on the list is the Honda CR-V. So you can see the trend we're running here already, which is basically Japanese and Korean so far. But we are going to jump out of that in just a minute. 2019, this is the hybrid model, 35% off in the UK and 28% off in the USA. 3-year warranty in the UK, 3-year warranty in the USA. Very high mileage though. You can run these up to 90,000 miles on that standard warranty. Of course, for the majority of you, unless you're buying one that's had an extended warranty put on it, it's out of warranty now. Okay, the hybrid battery warranty is generally on this particular year, 5 years. Okay, does move on slightly newer ones up to 8, but again, it's basically the same mileage warranty with a couple of years added onto it. If battery warranties do worry you, remember the batteries on these are small and the knowledge base behind replacing self-charging batteries is vast compared to EVs and plug-in hybrids that have much, much larger batteries. Okay, so if it's something that scares you, go on your phone, call an Uber. It'll almost certainly be a Toyota Prius or some sort of Toyota self-charging, and ask the driver, hey, how many miles have you got on it? He'll probably say like 200,000. Have you had a battery issue? No. They're small batteries. The engine does a lot of work. Yes, it's expensive if the battery goes wrong, but it wouldn't scare me as much as an EV or a plug-in hybrid where the battery is much bigger and much more expensive. Now, I said we'd jump away from the Japanese and the Koreans, so we're going to on this one. If you're in the UK and Europe, it's the Ford Kuga. If you're in the USA, it's the Ford Escape. Don't confuse them because we have the Escape in Europe as well, and it's a different car. So Ford Kuga in the UK, 2020 model, 35%, and actually an equal 35% off in the USA. So this is where we start to get into a value proposition. Ford badge, it's taken a bit of a hit, but I think the reason you're seeing an even separation, an even difference here, it has a 2.5 litre engine. And in Europe, having a 2.5 litre petrol engine with a hybrid system doesn't seem, in our minds, like the best way to save fuel because it's quite a big engine. You know, generally speaking, up to 2 litres in the UK, particularly Europe, again, pretty much the same. That's sort of a decent sized engine. And in a lot of European countries, it's actually taxation based on engine size or engine power. Okay, so a 2.5 with a hybrid system, yes, it is efficient, but you probably in Europe could go for, say, like particularly at the time, you could go for the diesel version and get the same economy. But in the US, a 2.5 is not particularly outstanding engine size, and to have hybrid assisting you along the way and cutting down that fuel bill was particularly impressive. So you get sort of an even distribution. The one thing I would say in the UK, I think you can get them cheaper than 35% if you're willing to do a bit of a negotiation with the seller. Again, the way we base these figures is to try and cut out the anomalies or the slightly higher mileage ones or the ones that just don't quite fit, okay? And looking at where they were being sold and how long some of the dealers had these vehicles, as I say, 2.5 litre just doesn't quite fit in most people's minds. It sounds a bit sort of thirsty, if you like. And so if you wanted to maximize your saving, I'd go to a used car dealer that isn't a specialist in these vehicles, have a chat with them and see if they'll reduce the price further. It's just a 3-year warranty as standard, 6-year battery warranty, 100,000 mile battery warranty. It's pretty much finished for its battery warranty and its regular warranty unless it's been extended. Okay. From there, we're going to jump straight back to the Japanese with probably, it's interesting because after what I said about the RAV4, this size vehicle, this next vehicle I find particularly impressive. In fact, I'd say of all the cars on this list, this is one that impresses me the most. I'm trying to think of all the cars on the list, but I think this is the one that impresses me the most. And it's because I've driven lots of them. And every single time I got out and I thought, God, No one builds a competitor to this car, not a direct competitor. It's the Lexus RX 450h. Had to go a little bit older on this one. I looked at a 2016, 2017 model, but in the UK, 60% off. And in the US, if you're looking at it, you're thinking 60% off. Get me one now, because it's only 50% off, and that's sort of best case scenario. Lexus models in the US hold their money particularly well, and that's because people have faith in them. They know that people have run them to 500,000 miles, not the RX specifically, but other Lexus models, and they sort of published it and shown people, yep, it's genuinely done that mileage. And you know what? Every time you get in one, I wouldn't quite say it's Mercedes level luxury. Some people feel it is. I don't. Okay, personal opinion on that one. But you can tell what Lexus are doing, and they're saying, how can we get a luxury feel without putting the very, very latest cutting edge thing that we don't know will work in 5 years? That's kind of the Lexus mindset. And because they think on that sort of secondary thought, well, it has to work in 10 years, 15 years, it has to. They give you a luxury feel, but they don't push the boat out so far as that if you're buying used, things start to not be that impressive anymore because they're old now, and you know the showroom pizzazz of the salesman showing you is gone. You just want something reliable that does the job but has some nice features. This, for me, is a particularly good used pick. Just a 3-year warranty in the UK on this particular age. Lexus did up their warranty with its later models. 4-year warranty in the USA, both limited to 60,000 miles. So we're way outside of the regular warranty. And the 8-year warranty that came with the battery. But sorry, the 5-year standard warranty that came with the battery pack is long gone. That could be extended to 8 years. For the most of you, that's long gone as well, or at least it's just gone. So you've got to have a bit of faith to go outside of the warranty, but you know what? If there's any manufacturer that you can, I'm not going to say 100% because who knows who owned it last, but Lexus is one of those manufacturers that have got known for doing this and doing it well. Let's move on to the next one on the list, and it's probably one that if in the UK it wouldn't have come to your mind. This is the Infiniti Q50 hybrid. Okay, now if you're in the UK, you can get these at an absolute steal. If you don't know who Infiniti are, it's basically Nissan's luxury brand. So for Toyota, they have Lexus, Nissan have Infiniti. Okay, in the US, Infiniti's popular, much, much more popular than it is in Europe. And that is going to reflect in these residual values here. So 2016, 2017 again, in the UK, 70% off. Okay, 70% for a car that is, they're saloon cars, so I think that's an element of this. I think if these were an SUV model, probably would have slightly stronger residuals, but that's a phenomenal deal. Okay, 58, I'm going to say 55% in the US, and go as low as 58% for an average mileage vehicle. Okay, warranty's long gone, 3-year or 4-year, so 3-year in the UK, 4-year in the USA. And interestingly, the battery warranty was the same. They didn't, at the time, make a separate battery warranty. So it's highly unlikely that anyone's extended the warranty with Infiniti. All the warranties that you find on these will almost certainly be third-party warranties. Not a problem, as long as they're proper, sort of, I want to say gold standard warranties. When I sold used cars, you used to see a lot of people buy a warranty and then find out it sort of covers the cost of the parts, if the parts are known to not fail, with a ton of exclusions. That's like the worst warranty you can buy. So as long as you've got a good warranty, one that actually starts to cover stuff and doesn't have, 5 million exclusions on it, I think a lot of people won't even bother with warranty on these. But if you want a warranty, that's sort of the way to go with this one. And if a seller's offering you one, even better bonus. Next, the Kia Niro hybrid. Short window these were sold for. And funny enough, I actually thought to myself the other day, so I know these were popular in the US, but do they sell any in the UK? And then about 4 taxis drove past me, all of them in one of these. I thought, yeah, they did sell them. So in the UK, 2017 model is 57% off. In the USA, 52% off. So just over that halfway point. It's a 7-year warranty in the UK. So interesting that we have higher depreciation, even though the warranty is only just coming up on these vehicles, or is gone about a year ago. That was for the vehicle at an 8-year hybrid battery warranty. In the US, slight sort of, you can have 7 years, but basically they do a 5-year warranty, which they count as sort of extendable, and a basic 5-year from new, 8-year hybrid battery warranty. But in either case, you're probably out of battery. You're probably out of warranty on both cars. Again, I drove one of these years and years ago, so I'm really stretching my mind to remember it. But actually, I think it was a rental actually that I drove. I did rent cars for a little while I lived in Australia, and I pretty sure we had these, and people liked them. And I remember taking them home several times. I thought, oh, actually, it's a car. That's the way I would describe it. Kia really just 2015, 16. They moved out of where they were, which was sort of getting their feet together and really understanding European, North American buyers, Australian buyers, sort of trying to understand the Western market and how it differed from their market and from the Asian market around them in the Asian countries. And I think they really nailed it around the 2015, 16. Okay. The trouble is they still were sort of fighting that, that sort of thought behind them. So people going into a Toyota dealer didn't quite at the time see Kia as an equal, whereas I think now Kia are kind of on equal footing. So this was around the time when they started to get that better reputation, especially as Europe and the US particularly. So these are actually quite nice cars. They're just overlooked a lot of the time. But if you're out there, can't plug your car in, but want a hybrid, probably an area that you can get one of the better deals. And as I say, these are not bad cars to drive. You're not going to go and race a Ferrari in one. But if you're trying to do that, this is the wrong list for you. Next, we couldn't do this list without the quintessential self-charging hybrid vehicle. Okay, the Toyota Prius. Now, this is the Generation 4 model. The 2016, 2017 is the years I looked at. And I think because it has existed for so long, because it is, there were self-charging hybrids before the Prius. It's just the Prius is the one that, the celebrities bought and that got into the newspapers and that really grabbed people's attention off the bat. Okay, so I think this will always be known as the hybrid of hybrids. And you can see it in residuals. So 2016, 2017, even if it's done a bit of mileage, 62% off in the UK, only 54% off in the USA. Now, I have to mention within this the Uberification of these cars. Basically, there is an artificial increase in their value based on the fact that people who are using them for Ubers, for taxis, for lifts, for any of the other ride-sharing platforms that are out there want these cars. They're very, very popular with that community because they last. They're very, very well understood. If there's any hybrid on this list that you can buy and take it to pretty much any garage, it is a Prius. And even if you start to have a battery issue, someone knows someone who's done one of these batteries before, replaced it, worked on it, whatever. So this is like the safest of safest bets. Not to say that the other ones aren't. It's just this is the one, people have been working on these since 2000. So 25 years of knowledge on them was always going to help. So 62% UK, 54% USA. The warranty, though, was not that great at the time. As I say, since then, Toyota have increased their warranty cover, but I don't think they really needed it as a sales point back in sort of 2016. So 3-year warranties and then a 5-year warranty on the battery pack. So you could extend that battery warranty, but I think even there is a possibility if someone has done Toyota servicing and if you're buying from a private buyer who's not been using it for a commercial purpose, you may find that it's slid into the extendable up to 10-year. Okay, you may find that. And if you have, then you've probably got possibly another year or two that if you can service at a Toyota dealer, you'll get, okay, or be able to purchase as an option depending on what market you're in. So if warranty is really, really important to you, and I know some of you it is, this may be the one to have a serious look at, even if you end up paying a little bit more. Now, next on the list, the Hyundai Ioniq hybrid. Now, not to confuse this with all the newer Hyundais, which are all called Ioniq for some reason, of the 5 and 3 and whatever. This is just the Ioniq. Okay, Ioniq hybrid, self-charging hybrid, 2017. They didn't sell it for that long. 60% off in the UK, 55% off in the USA. And what you're seeing here again and again and again and again is that the US value these self-charging hybrids that little bit more than the UK and Europe generally. I think that's probably because a lot of Americans do, mileage where they're not necessarily plugging in everywhere, especially at this age point. And people really just want to maximize fuel economy from an engine. They know engines, fuel is cheaper, so you can just maximize how many miles per gallon you can get. That is the aim of the game. And because of that, these hybrids, this generation, are a little bit more desirable. And let's not forget that, I say, Uberification affects quite a lot of these. So 5-year warranty, both US and UK. One of the first ones, I think it was around 2017 they actually introduced it, but a 8-year, 100,000 mile warranty. So you're probably buying just at the end of a warranty period. Okay, but that might help you with a little bit of negotiation. It's a 100,000 mile limitation on the battery warranty. Now, we're going to go into the deep end of depreciation now with a couple of brands that actually have either, one of them has been mentioned before, the other one hasn't. But we're going to have to step a little bit older for one of them. And it just serves as proof that most manufacturers just didn't look at self-charging hybrids. They looked at diesel technology instead. And now they're having to have a rethink as we move into this hybrid era that we're going into. But if you're in Europe, you had the Ford Mondeo. If you're in the USA, you had the Ford Fusion. Now, we had a Fusion in the UK and in Europe. They're not the same car. The Ford Fusion in the US is essentially the European Ford Mondeo as a hybrid. Okay, 2017 year, 67% off in the UK because people bought these as diesels over here. They didn't really buy them as hybrids. And people buying used today just sort of go out onto the market not really knowing that there was a self-charging hybrid. And actually, not a bad vehicle. Pretty good fuel economy as well, but you probably are going to be fighting a little bit more to find one. In the USA, much like I've said before, people are looking to maximize fuel economy, so 58% depreciation on this one. Standard 3-year warranty, nothing to write home about on the warranty. 8-year hybrid warranty, so we're probably already seeing the end of that for most of the ones you go and look at. 100,000 mile hybrid battery warranty. So again, maybe try and do a little bit of negotiation on price if you can, by the fact that it is now completely out of battery warranty. But yeah, it was just a standard 3-year. Ford sort of sold it just like all their other vehicles. They didn't try and, do anything particular with the hybrid. I think it probably comes down to emissions standard testing at the time and how things have changed since 2020. If they were selling this car today, if they even sold cars today, we all know Ford just sell the Mustang and then SUVs and pickup trucks now. They don't even bother with regular cars. So if they were doing it today, I think they would probably push this a little bit more, maybe try and get fleet sales with it and stuff like that. But it's probably a history we're not going to see repeat. The next car on the list is the one with the heavy depreciation, but it's the oldest car on the list. And the reason it's the oldest, I had to stretch so far back to find a manufacturer that wasn't Ford or Japanese or Korean. Okay, I really wanted to find a German manufacturer that did it. And there was a short stint, I should say. BMW did the ActiveHybrid. Now, I picked the ActiveHybrid 5. They did an ActiveHybrid 3 and an ActiveHybrid 7. The ActiveHybrid 5 did go on until 2014. You may even be able to find a couple registered in 2015, but I looked at 2012, 2013 because they're all out of warranty anyway. Here, you can get a real bargain. 79% off in the UK, 82% off in the USA. So just, boom, all their money's gone. 20% of their value, compared to a lot of these other hybrids. I think the key reason is because ultimately, if you're in Europe, you can get a really good diesel on this age. But we are entering a phase where hybrids are going to be sort of the norm going forwards. And hybrids may be the ones that, especially if you're in Europe or the UK, because of 2012, 2013, diesel won't get into a lot of city driving emission restrictions, okay? Whereas the hybrid will. So, you know, there is a little bit of future proofing. At the same time, you've got pretty good fuel economy from these. BMW did take it seriously. You know, they really did have a go on this. And I think if they'd had a little bit more success, they probably would have followed it up. But ultimately, they saw the next wave as being plug-in hybrid and focused all their attention there. And the active hybrids have kind of been forgotten. Now, there's a buyer's guide for that Generation 5 series and that Generation 3 series and that Generation 7 series. So you'll notice on the buyer's guides, I kind of just wash over them. You know, I do mention them, but there just isn't a lot out there. There's not a ton of data to go off and say reliable, not reliable. Ultimately, you don't see lots of people saying they've all blown up, they've all failed, the batteries have all failed. But at the same time, you know, it's still a over 10-year-old luxury vehicle. So compared to all the other cars on this list, you may find that it has more bills. That's just me being fair and honest. It was a 6-year initial battery warranty. It was a 4-year warranty in the US and a 3-year warranty for general parts in the UK. But obviously none of that matters because of the age of the vehicle. But I always have to have a wild card on these. I love finding the wild card, especially when it came to a hybrid wild card, because I thought, well, a wild card should be something different. It should be something that you've watched the whole video for and thought, yeah, they're pretty much all sort of, you know, 5-door hatchbacks or 4-door saloons or a few SUVs. Come on, give me something wild card. And so it took a little bit of searching around, but I managed to find something. It's the most expensive car on the list. I should caveat it there. But as a wild cards go, I've actually driven one of these, and they're different. And I think today, to buy anything that's different, at the same time, you know, they'll still get a wink from people who know cars. So it is the Lexus LC 500H. Okay, this is the 2007 to 2018. In both markets, you're looking at just shy of 50% off. 49%, 48%, 47%, you know, so just under that 50% marker. They had a 3-year warranty in the UK, a 4-year warranty in the USA, and then a 5-year battery warranty. However, as far as I understand, they have now gone into the 10-year in the UK, the 10-year extendable if serviced at dealer. Could be wrong, but as best I understand, that's the case with them. And in the US, you can pay to extend the warranty. These are great looking vehicles. I'm telling you now, no one is looking at that car thinking, oh, they probably bought that to save fuel. They're fantastic looking things. I know it's a 2-door coupe, so, you know, it's probably not the best family car out there. But as a wild card, come on. I really thought I was going to have to find a plug-in hybrid because it was hard to just find something different. And this car is that. That takes us to the end of the list. So I want to thank all of the members of the channel. They do help sort of fund these videos. I can spend the time doing the research and not have to worry about putting out, you know, a lot of extra content in between. Big thank you for watching as well, and to all of you that have subscribed. If you've enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments. Let me know if there's other types of vehicles you would, types of vehicle brackets that you'd like me to do. So we've done EVs, we've done plug-in hybrids, we've done SUVs, we've done off-roaders. Now we've done hybrids, done sports cars as well. I'd quite like to do something like depreciated British cars or depreciated German cars. Maybe that will be something that will come up soon. But if you've enjoyed, add a like to the video. It does help. And have a very nice day. And don't forget, there are buyer's guides for quite, well, I'd say a few of the vehicles on that I've done here. So if you want to check out the buyer's guides next, do so. Otherwise, have a great day. I shall see you in the next one.